Okay, so on this video I'm just going to go over generator side, putting back together generator side. Going to do the gear position switch, shift shaft, spacer and O-ring here. Don't forget your screen, your filter screen, chain, and then he's got a little guide right here that keeps him in place. Your chain guide. Holy crap, I'm not good at this. Counterbalance shaft, oil pump, gear, all that fun stuff. So right now I'm just going to focus on these guys, but I'm going to put the cam in first for the clutch. So we're just going to oil pretty much everything up just a little bit. So a little bit of oil, that way everything has a nice initial guide, it's easier installing, all that fun stuff. So after this guy, I'm just going to go ahead and put the O-ring in on the counter shaft here, and then after that, of course, the spacer. I'm not going to worry about putting the sprocket on now because it would be not a good idea to tighten it just using the engine internals at this time. One, because not all the engine internals are in there, and two, I don't want to cause any stress on them, so I'll wait till the chain is on and then hold the rear tire and tighten it that way. So, changed my mind. No kick shaft, or no shift shaft, because I have to have the clutch side together. So we'll worry about that later. We'll throw the shifter on later when the foot pegs are on, anyways. So, gear position switch. Make sure you line up your indicators, and then you can always turn this. But let's make sure we got this bolt out first. So just line it up on the inside. Or no. Fuck. We're going to line him up for him to go in, because we cannot spin around and dodge the... There we go. So we got him in place. He's going to go up like this. We'll wait until that guard's on, but we will send this bolt down to hold him in place so we don't have to worry about him later. Now, while I send this in place, so while we send him in, we're also going to put in our pre-screen. Flat edge faces out always. Already got them cleaned up, lubed up a little bit, ready to set in there. And that's that for that part. Now we're going to go ahead and throw the cam chain on. Actually, you know what, I'm going to wait on that. Let's do the oil pump gear, and then we'll do the counterbalance shaft. So with the oil pump gear, you have like a little slot for the pin, and then you have your slots on the back of this guy. And you're just going to line them up. You might have to reach back there and push the pin in just a little bit more to make it set all the way in like that. And now for your little snap ring, I do not have a snap ring pliers large enough for this, so I'm going to hold one side in with my thumb and use a pick to set it in place. You don't want to bend it too far. You spread that too much and your oil pump gear falls off, you just wasted an entire engine. So make sure she snaps in place all the way in, all the way around. Make sure she can move on her own too. Oh, pressuring up. So yeah, she moves all the way around. She's going to pump the oil for us. She's going to be good at it, I hope. Now, counterbalance shaft. You'll have to rotate it. Timing on this side does not matter. It's the other side that you're timing. So here, just going to make sure it goes all the way in. You might have to twist a little bit to dodge the crankshaft. But there you go. She's all the way in. And now, time for the cam chain. Every time I redo a top end, I do a cam chain too, just because I've seen too many cam chains kink up on the first top end. So, got a new one to go in there, and we're just going to lay it off to the side for now. And we're gonna put our little guy down here that helps hold him in place. So one sec, this little guy. Make sure he slots in his groove, which is like a little dimple in the case half. Get your 8 started, send it in. Now we can do your chain tensioner. You're gonna have to take the bolt out, of course. Make sure you got your spacer in it too. If you don't have a spacer in it, it's not gonna work right, because it has to be able to move, because this is where your tensioner pushes against. And then we're gonna tighten him down. Once he's down, make sure he moves freely. All fun and games. Cam chain can't jump off. You won't be able to accidentally mistime your engine when you get to the top end now, because this side does have to be together to time the engine. That's right, because you need it for the timing marks. So keyway will go in, and I like to put a little tilt towards you, just a little bit. That way when you put your magneto on, it for sure slides onto the keyway. Somewhat get it lined up. You can hold the chain to help keep the crank in place. It should slip on all by itself. Make sure it's grabbed your keyway and rotates the crankshaft. If you don't get it on the keyway, you won't be able to time this correctly, and you'll probably damage a lot of stuff. A stator, mag cover, all that fun stuff. So we're just going to tighten this guy down now. There you go. Once it's tight, we're ready to put the cover on. You're going to make sure your cam chain's out of the way, make sure your dowel pins are in, and we're going to set the gasket on next. All right, so got the gasket. We're just going to set it on, get it in place. Make sure wires and everything are out of the way. You don't want to pinch anything. And now for this one is special. You're going to put silicone in just one specific spot on this. I'm sure everyone knows about this, but silicone right here on this guy, just to make sure it seals all the way. I know it has like a little rubber edge, but you have little edges here too that the gasket will not fill. So I just do a light layer of silicone on it, not much, just a very light layer. Rub it down in there. Yeah, rub it in there. Make sure it gets on the edges too, and that should be good. Now this will go together with some violent attraction. Just make sure she sits all by herself up against everything, because the magnet is attracting the copper windings of the stator. And we're going to go ahead and set in our bolts. We're going to do the same thing we did with the case halves, just make sure they're all the same length, you know, protruding out, which goes there. And then after that, you're going to go ahead and go into star pattern and tighten them down. So now I didn't put the one in on the oil cover yet, because I thought I had an oil filter in stock, but I did not. So I'm going to leave this off for now. And of course I'll put the dipstick in just for fun, for transportation, before I put fluids in this thing. But at this point, you could put engine oil in your machine, but make sure your drain plug is in to check for leaks. I'd always recommend doing that. Transmission side is a whole different oil fill. You'll need your inner clutch cover on, outer clutch cover, water pump, all that fun stuff. So now that we're done with the generator side, we're going to go ahead and move over to the clutch side. Good job, guys.